It's certainly worth taking stock over what's happened in what has been a very busy 6 months. And during that time we've seen some pretty momentous developments within the postal industry. We've seen the situation where Royal Mail was granted state aid, something which the union supported, and obviously paved the way for the pension solution, which overall is good news for our members and the company. We've seen, unfortunately, the separation of Post Office Limited from the Royal Mail Group, something which we opposed, but at least we were able to influence a 10-year inter-business agreement, and we secured an agreement that protects our members' terms and conditions as part of the new company. We've also seen the introduction of a new regulatory framework as part of the Postal Services Act, and whilst this is meant to actually bring about a level playing field for competition, something which the union has campaigned for, we are beginning to see some worrying signs around end-to-end competition, and in particular TNT announcing that they want to get into the delivery end of the market. Something which they could have done for the last few years, but obviously as downstream access starts to tighten up and the rules around that, then they're going to look elsewhere, so we've got to deal with that situation. Back in February, the union agreed a three-phase agenda for national talks with Royal Mail. These were major talks about the future direction of the company, and those talks have reaped benefits. We saw the 3.5% pay rise for Royal Mail employees secured as part of that. We also recently saw colleague share finally get something back for our members. I know our members will be disappointed about what's happened over colleague share, and rightly so, but we were able to retrieve something as a result of the union's efforts, and our members will in the future get a £100 Christmas bonus on an ongoing basis. But of course we're also still talking to the company about doing a final validation exercise on colleague share, and all the questions that our members often ask about colleague share we expect to be able to answer following that exercise. So if there are any grounds to pursue colleague share further, we will certainly be doing that. We've seen two other major national agreements, one on extended job security, which we're particularly pleased about. This has come about as a result of negotiations with the employer, and what's important about this particular agreement, it strengthens the commitments that we obtained as part of business transformation, and it now covers all future change. We've also, as part of that, strengthened the words around no compulsory redundancies, dealing with change in the future. We've got better opportunities for part-time workers to increase their hours as a result of this agreement. And we've also secured an agreement that the ongoing split of full-time to part-time, 75-25, is going to be central to Royal Mail's strategy going forward. This is very important, and our members do need to recognise that unlike the competitors who have basically gone out for a part-time industry approach to delivery work, we still have maintained overall the full-time element of work. So we're pleased with that agreement. There'll be further communications about that agreement in due course, and we'll be explaining the full details of that. We've also got an agreement finally on world-class mail that addresses our concerns. We've had a number of concerns about the way the company was operating world-class mail, and we really do believe that we needed to get that agreement to pull the company back in line. We're not against employee engagement, providing it's done in a meaningful way, providing it's done in a transparent way. We believe this agreement will now address the concerns of the union. Again, the membership will be receiving separate communications detailing what that agreement is. I think where we are, in all honesty, is that people, I think, do understand now that change has got to happen. I don't believe people like change, it's not popular. But I think that anybody that looks at what's happening to our industry, and in particular this combined challenge of a new world of communications, which is definitely affecting our traditional areas of work, whilst at the same time more and more competition. These two things combined together mean that unless we change, we're not going to be able to secure a sustainable future. So that was what transformation was about. It's still very hard for our members. That's one of the key areas that we're going to be looking at going forward. Transformation needs to work at local level. We've spent a lot of time talking to Royal Mail about making sure that the way that it's deployed is better than some of the early experiences, and we're hoping that our members will get more involved in that and that they can then influence what takes place at local level. I think the other big thing, of course, that we've still got to deal with is the privatisation of Royal Mail. It's an interesting point that the government have now got the Act of Parliament through, but what's really interesting is that the current economic conditions, in our view, mean that this debate is far from over. I don't personally believe that the government are going to be in a position to privatise Royal Mail until at least the end of 2013. Of course, you can't rule out the government deciding to do some sort of cheap and dirty sale of the business, something which, again, we would continue to oppose. But all the signs look like that it's going to be difficult for them to put that in place at this particular point. What we've got to do is carry on influencing that debate. We've got to carry on making sure that transformation works anyway. One of our arguments will be that you don't need to privatise the company given that we have secured a pension solution, given that there is going to be a change in the regulatory framework. We believe the company can start to benefit financially from that. So we're looking at all of those things. I think towards the end of this year we'll know a lot more about what's going to happen with privatisation, but I think that in reality it probably will take quite a while before we're at the end of that debate. So the union continues to oppose privatisation. We continue to look at ways of stopping that happening. We don't believe it's necessary for the future of the industry. But also the union is realistic enough to realise that we do have to have other policies in place, and our conference this year agreed a very important policy, which means that whatever happens with privatisation, the union will be looking to influence the outcome in one way or another, and particularly if there is going to be some form of employee ownership, then we're looking for our members to have a far greater stake in the future of their company. We would put on the table models, for example, like 100% employee-owned models, and we want to get involved in those discussions if it's going to move down that path. So to summarise, the union has a very positive agenda going forward. We're looking to influence the direction of the company in a number of ways, and we will be doing that. Obviously, we'll be talking about your pay in 2013 and 2014, and we're trying to secure an agreement on that already. We'll be trying to resolve parcel false pay, which unfortunately is still outstanding. And we'll be dealing with the government and the company over any of the plans that they bring forward on privatisation. And I'm absolutely determined to ensure that this union will continue to influence the issues that affect you at your workplace on a daily basis.